Today, we're going to be talking about a book that I love called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I'll be going through my favorite principles from the book that had a really transformative impact on my mindset about money. If you were given the following facts about two people and you had to guess which one was going to be the most financially successful, which one would you pick? Person one was born in rural Vermont. He was a high school graduate, worked as a janitor and swept floors at JCPenney for 17 years, fixed cars for 25 years at a gas station, bought a 2-bedroom house when he was 38 for $12,000 that he lived in for the rest of his life. His main hobby was chopping firewood, and he died in 2014 at the age of 92. Person two has the following characteristics. He was Harvard educated, plus an MBA. He was a Merrill Lynch executive. He was so successful that he retired in his 40s, and he made Crane's 40 under 40 list of successful business people. He had an 8,000 square foot home in Connecticut with 11 bathrooms, 2 elevators, 2 pools, and 7 garages. More than 2.8 million Americans died in 2014, and less than 4,000 of them had a net worth that was above $8 million. And believe it or not, person one was among those 4,000 people. This guy's name was Ronald Reed, and he didn't win the lotto. He didn't inherit anything from a really rich relative. He got where he did by saving and investing what little he could each month and waiting decades for it to grow. Person two was Richard Fosconi. He borrowed heavily to finance the expansion of that 18,000 square foot home of his. And when the 2008 financial crisis hit, high debt and illiquid assets financially ruined him. He declared bankruptcy, and that mansion ended up being sold for what's estimated to be less than 75% of its actual value at an auction. There are many lessons in this comparison, but my key takeaway, which is principle number one, is that anybody can win with money, because it's not how much money you make, but your mindset and behavior with it that ultimately counts. Richard Fosconi had such a massive head start in life, and you'd naturally assume that he would have been the more successful one. As Housel puts it, Ronald Reed was patient, and Richard Fosconi was greedy. That's all it took to eclipse the massive education and experience gap between the two. A lot of times, we can be full of self-limiting beliefs around money, like I can't be financially successful because I'm not good with numbers, or I can't be financially successful because I don't have a professional qualification, or because I don't have a fancy job at a big company. This story shows that your background doesn't determine whether or not you'll be financially successful. As Housel puts it, financial success is not a hard science, it's a soft skill, where how you behave is more important than what you know. Principle two is finance is a game of the heart and mind. We've already covered that the way you behave with money is what determines financial success, and the way you think and feel about something is heavily influenced by how you were raised, the environments you were exposed to, the rooms you were put in, and emotions like joy, fear, or pride all mixed together to inform your financial behavior. Housel puts it like this: important financial decisions are not made in spreadsheets or textbooks. They are made at the dinner table. They often aren't made with the intention of maximizing returns, but minimizing the chance of disappointing a spouse or a child. Those kinds of things are difficult to summarize in charts or formulas, and they vary widely from person to person. Financial success, then, is not just about maximizing returns, but also about aligning decisions with personal values and emotional priorities. It also helps to reflect whether toxic mindsets and emotions are informing your financial decisions. Principle three is getting money and keeping money are two different skills. Now, this is something that I think a lot of us often overlook, but everyday financial stories are littered with scores of people who've made a lot of money and have somehow lost it all. We hear these kind of stories from celebrities who've made absolute fortunes, like Mike Tyson. But everyday life is littered with these kinds of people too. Housel writes, getting money requires taking risks, being optimistic, and putting yourself out there. Keeping money requires the opposite of taking risk. It requires humility and fear that what you've made can be taken away from you just as fast. A lot of times, we can assume that just because somebody makes a lot of money, that they know how to manage and grow that money as well. But just being able to recognize that making money and keeping money requires two different behaviors is life-changing. Housel says, one of the most powerful ways to increase your savings isn't to increase your income, it's to increase your humility. Principle four is the road to success is paved with failures. Housel talks about the idea that tails drive everything, meaning that big or rare events shape our money the most. This means that it's often the unexpected moments rather than everyday ones that can contribute the most to our financial success. Instead of trying to guess when these big moments will happen, it's better to be ready for them. He illustrates this principle when it comes to investing by talking about how up to 2013, Warren Buffett had owned 400 to 500 stocks, and he had made most of his money on 10 of these stocks. He also talks about how Chris Rock is flawless when you see him on TV, but that he tests out his content for shows in small clubs before taking it to big venues. He does these smaller shows to get ready for the big shows, and seeing which jokes land best, then incorporates only the tails of his jokes in his tours and TV shows. This principle really illustrates the importance of remaining diversified and adaptable, and patience from understanding that the road to success is paved with failures. Principle 5 is know what game you're playing. This, for me, is the most game-changing principle from the whole book. This principle is about getting clear on what you value and what you're looking for and pursuing that, rather than spending money based on what other people are doing. The reason for that is you don't know what motivates those people spending, or even how they're financing it. Every day, we're inundated with information that shows the result of people's financial decisions, but never the root decisions leading up to this. There's a good example in the book about how a young lawyer aiming to be a partner at a prestigious law firm might need to maintain an appearance that somebody who's a writer doesn't need. So if the writer is to take his financial cues from the young lawyer, he'd end up disappointed by spending money without getting the same career boost that the lawyer will get. Housel writes, define the game you are playing and make sure your actions are not being influenced by people playing a different game. This applies to how you spend and invest your money. This book is full of so many other gems and really great examples to bring these principles to life. If you'd like to check it out, I'll put a link to the book in the description below. Thanks for watching.